Welcome to the Rundown with Roger Weston. This is Roger Weston, and this is the Rundown. Today we're going to run down the Castro assassination plot, the failed plot, and why plans fail. Now, in 1959, the CIA had unleashed Bill Harvey he was working on development he was planning Castro's assassination. Now, Bill Harvey was he was sort of like an iconic CIA agent. He had a sort of notorious reputation about he was sort of legendary because he was the Berlin spy chief, and he was the man behind the Berlin Tunnel. So he had an incredible career behind him, and so they bring in the best. The CIA decides to bring in the best, and they bring in Harvey to eliminate Castro, and then begins one of the most comic book operations that we've seen in a while. So now, in 1960, CIA they plan not only to take out Castro, but also all the top leadership in Cuba and Che Guevara, the communist revolutionary. And so by 1960, CIA's Havana station was shocked to find out that the CIA was ready to pay $10,000 to anyone who assassinated Che Guevara. Now, that's 1959. That's 1960. Now, Sheffield Edwards, the CIA's director of security, suggested that the agency get the mafia to murder Castro. Now, this was a brilliant plan, right? What could go wrong? I mean, this is the CIA. They've got all the resources. They've got all the great CIA agents. They've got all the intelligence. They've got the professional assassins. They've got the United States behind them. So what do? They bring in the mafia. What could go wrong with this plan? What could go wrong here? So Harvey, the old, street smart FBI man, made the characteristic mistake of believing Edwards when he described the mafia as unified, monolithic. Okay, that's like saying, all right, we've got the U.S. Army here. We've got our leader, and when he gives an order, everybody follows it. Everybody is marching to the same step. Everybody's singing to the same tune. Everybody's working together. Everybody's cooperating. This is the mafia. Everybody's cooperating. Okay, so that's their plan. They bring in the mafia. So they, at the same time, James Angleton had voiced his concerns about working with the mafia, but nevertheless, Harvey believed the mafia was highly motivated to want to get rid of Castro. After all, the mafia had lost out on their gambling operations in Cuba with the takeover of the revolution. And so if we get rid of Castro, go back to the status quo, then guess what? The mafia gets all their gets to start up their casinos in Havana. All the good times continue. All the money starts to roll again. What could possibly... I mean, obvious. They don't even need to feel like this is obvious, right? This is apparently they're so confident that the mafia wanted to return to the status quo that they didn't even necessarily feel there was anything to worry about. So Harvey and Edwards decide they would use a cutout, which is basically a front man who is going to go in and make the contacts with the mafia. That way, if anything goes wrong, then it'll avoid it. They won't be the ones embarrassed by it. It'll just be some cutout, sort of like some deniable operator. And so they bring in Robert Maheu and give him a stipend of $500 a month, and he sets up that was a lot of money back then. It was a substantial more then than it is today by probably 10 times. So. He starts up a private investigation company as the front man, and Maheu approaches his plans. He starts approaching the mobsters, and tells them that their man, Meyer Lansky, the money man, is going to pay a handsome reward to whoever kills Castro and eliminates the dictator. So Mihu, that's how things are planned out. Now Mihu goes to Johnny Roselli in Hollywood. He's in the Hollywood. He's in the entertainment business in Hollywood, between Hollywood and Vegas. And Roselli recommends a couple of key mobsters that Mihu should pass on. A couple of key names Mihu should pass on to Bill Harvey, and those names are the Santos Trafficante of Tampa and Sam Giancana of Chicago. Okay, so now one of the weaknesses of Bill Harvey was that he didn't really do his homework on these two mobsters. He just sort of, I guess he was so confident that they were going to be motivated to reestablish and reclaim the glory days of the casinos and all the profits in Havana, that they would do whatever he wanted. So he didn't do proper due diligence on these two guys. And unfortunately, had he done that, he probably would have scrapped this whole operation right away. And here's why. Trafficante. Take Santos Trafficante of Tampa. Now, Castro was receiving, had over throughout the revolution, Castro was receiving guns from Trafficante. So they're working together. Castro has benefited greatly from Trafficante, and therefore, not only is Trafficante making money, but Castro's going to have be somewhat indebted to Trafficante, and that's going to make Trafficante think twice about whether he wants to get rid of Castro, the man who is somewhat indebted to him and a man of immense power in Cuba. So Castro promised Trafficante control of gambling in Cuba once the revolution succeeded. So why would Trafficante want to kill the person who promises him practically a monopoly on gambling in Cuba in the near future? Number 3, Trafficante allowed Castro's supporters to bring heroin into Miami and sell it in Trafficante's territory. So here again, the Cubans are making a lot of money. Trafficante's making it all happen. Do you think he might have got a cut? But even more than that, Castro is going to be indebted to Trafficante for all the assistance. Number 4, Trafficante masterminded scams for Castro's agents operating in Miami. So again, do you think he might be getting a cut in some of these scams? And again, all of this is making Castro more and more indebted to Trafficante. So Harvey comes in and he puts Trafficante on the scent to get rid of Castro. What could go wrong here? Do you think anything might go wrong? So, as it turns out, they eventually did dispatch a couple of assassins to Havana to take out Castro. But unfortunately for them, the plane landed on the outskirts of Havana, and intelligence agents were waiting there to arrest them before they could carry out the assassination. So there you go. There's essentially the CIA's comic book plot in order to take care of Castro. And of course it didn't work. Now what we can learn about why plans fail is we need to do our homework. Sometimes plans fail for reasons that we could have anticipated had we done our homework and gotten the facts. In fact, it was General Patton who said, in order to make a decision, first you got to get the facts before you can make a decision. You can't make a decision until you get the facts. Well, that's where Harvey went wrong. He made a decision with not enough facts. And so that's a key lesson I think we can learn going into any big decision is to get the facts, do our homework, do our due diligence, and then make the best decision we can at that time. So there you go. There's the rundown with Roger West. And by the way, in the Recruiter, it's a Chuck Brandt series. My hero in 14 novels would never have made this mistake. Chuck he puts his life on the line on a regular basis in order to get research and find out what's going on in situations. He doesn't take anything for granted. So if you're looking for a good read, check it out. It's The Recruiter. There's 14 novels and more on the way. Thanks for watching. This is Roger Weston checking out. Fight on.